yJCVideos. The English alphabet. 26 shapes with which you, as an understander of these sounds I'm making, are undoubtedly familiar. When humans are mouthing sounds at each other, they discovered that sometimes the sound for a letter is similar to other letters, especially when poor audio quality is involved. So, from 1948 to 1949, the International Radiotelephony Spelling Alphabet, also known as the Military Alphabet, was co-developed by Jean-Paul Vinet, a linguistics professor at the University of Montreal and the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO. The ICAO gave Vinet 5 rules for developing this alphabet. First, the phonetic word must be a word still currently in use in English, French, and Spanish. Number 2, it must be easy to pronounce and recognized by people of all languages. Number 3, it must be clearly understood when spoken or read. Rule 4, written by Captain Obvious, states that the word must start with the letter that the word is representing, which is the entire point of choosing these words. Also, the words must have similar spellings in English, French, and Spanish. And finally, rule number 5 is that the word must be free from association with objectionable meaning, although I'm sure profane phonetic alphabets exist somewhere on the internet. Considering these requirements, the current English phonetic alphabet is quite an impressive feat, given the rules must also work for French and Spanish. However, when I divided these words into as few categories as I could, I realized why I wanted to make some America-centric changes. I'd like as many words as possible to be common American English words. If we're going to use phonetically spelled out Greek letters to clarify our English letters, why not commit and make them all phonetically spelled out Greek letters? Because that would look like this, and moo and nu aren't doing anyone any favors because they sound so similar. Not to mention, there are some English letters that do not have a Greek analog. Besides, the word alphabet is already a combination of the Greek letters alpha and beta, so they don't need to be hogging the rest of the phonetic alphabet. Also, while bravo is a great Italian word and good compliment, I'd prefer a common American English word instead. I believe that using names can cause jealousy, bitterness, and strife. The Johns of the world will wonder why their name wasn't chosen instead of Juliet, while the Rachels out there cry over their name being passed over in favor of Romeo. To avoid name favoritism, there shan't be names in my new phonetic alphabet. Now, I do like what some of these nouns accomplish. Echo and hotel are common 2-syllable words. Golf is a well-known sport with only 1 syllable, and papa is a word learned by all at a pretty young age. The ubiquity and simplicity of these words actually inspired the creation of this video. Next, if some of our letters are going to be represented by places, why not go all out? It's because some places may not be as famous to everyone, so that needs to be fixed as much as can be fixed. Because Americans know the famous states, I will try to use them when it makes sense. And finally, who uses the words foxtrot, tango, Yankee, and Zulu regularly? Yes, I have a vendetta against these words, and they simply must go. Therefore, after many hours of scrutiny and brainstorming, here is yJC's cool new phonetic alphabet, or YCNPA as no one will call it. A is for April, a familiar month with the same number of syllables as alpha. B is for Bible, a famous book with the same number of syllables as bravo. C is for cookie, color. Goodbye to Charlie and sorry to the Cookie Monster. D is for December, a familiar month with 1 additional syllable, but if November has 3 syllables and was part of the original list, then why not December? E equals MC squared, of course, but in the new and improved YCNPA, it actually stays the same. East would have worked, but it sounds too similar to yeast. This is the first of 7 letters that I've decided to leave alone. F is for Florida, a familiar state with one more syllable than foxtrot, but the same number of letters as foxtrot. G is for Gulf, which remains unchanged because the beauty of being one syllable is pretty great. Great, by the way, could be translated to Spanish as estupendo, which has 4 syllables and doesn't start with G, or grande, which creates ambiguity for great in terms of size versus great in terms of demeanor or mood. Georgia sounds like it could start with a J, so it didn't fit the requirement. H is for hotel, another unchanged, well-chosen, familiar word that works well. I is for image, which reduces the number of syllables by 1, at least in English and French, from India. J is for June, which is a familiar month and also trims the English and French syllables by 2 from Juliet. K is for kilo, which works perfectly as a prefix for measurements. L is for letter, which has the same number of syllables as Lima, and was a word sitting under our noses the entire time. After all, we are trying to clarify what letter we are saying. M is for my, a word that is equal to Mike in its syllable count. N is for north, one of the 4 cardinal directions. But earlier I complimented November for being a familiar month. Alas, north in English and French has 2 fewer syllables than November, so it needed to be replaced. O is for object, since October has more syllables, and not everyone watches Oscar the Awards or The Grouch. P is for papa, a simple word we learned as babies, so it can stay. Q is still for Quebec, because I couldn't find a better word that also starts with a Q in both French and Spanish. R is for red, a color with a third of the syllables as Romeo. S is for south, another cardinal direction with a third of the syllables as Sierra. T is for Texas, a place with the same number of syllables as tango while having perfectly consistent spelling across the 3 languages. U is for Utah, another place with 1 fewer syllable than uniform. V is for vision, as in, this 2-syllable word helps me fulfill my vision of removing all names from the phonetic alphabet. W is for whiskey, for which the closest replacement I could think of was wow, but it starts with a G in Spanish. Therefore, it stays. X is for, well, just X. This is my most petted peeve about the current phonetic alphabet. Saying X is for X-ray is like saying the word joyful means full of joy. What if you don't know what joy means? Hashtag relatable, anyone? Just kidding. Besides, X is 1 syllable, so you're welcome. Y is for yard, the unit of measurement with half the syllables as the anachronistic Yankee. And finally, Z is for Zoom. Not only is it 1 syllable, but it's not a people group, and it's been on everyone's mind more than ever due to 2020. And there you have it. 19 revisions to the phonetic alphabet later, we have a beautiful, printable, and hangable list of 3 months, 18 common nouns, 4 places, and the strong independent letter X who doesn't need any word to speak for it. And we learned that the original list of words was a multi-year effort that works across 3 languages and was accomplished without the help of the internet. Saying X is faster than saying X as an X-ray, and this was a lot of work. Thanks for watching. See you next time.